countdown, and I'll
let's get this adjusted.
yeah.
All right. Okay, so we got 4th place top 8 Strobic here with his.
What was it, 8-1 at the Indy Regional, 4th place at the very end of it.
Right.
Round 2 against Stryker, and then 1 out from there.
What'd you play?
I played Flunder again, coming off the 3rd place finish at what was it, Lexington, I think. I made a couple changes to it, not a lot. I think it was maybe like a 3-card main deck difference or a 4-card main deck difference, and then the side is a little bit different, but the extra pretty much just stays the same. That never really needs to change because it's pretty just set in stone. But the ratios are pretty same.
Let's get into it. Make sure we ain't got no glare in there.
Yeah, let me know. So we played the 3 Rabina, 3 Eaglin. I think that's pretty standard. The 1-1 for the Toucan and the Stree. Once again, just standard ratios. I know some people prefer to play like 2-1 or 2-1 of this one, but I think the 1-to-1 ratio is perfectly fine. The Barrier Statue, the 2 Impin, which in the last one I'd considered cutting Impin to 1 because I felt like I sided it out a lot. But the more that I've tested this deck and like the way that the format is shaped up, I find myself searching the second one quite a lot because people try to answer the Impin on their turn so they can play, because like a lot of the format's now like extra deck based, and they need to be able to answer this so they can both attack and still get their effects. So people droplets this a lot, and then I'll just summon the other one on their turn instead of going for the Apex Avian, because Apex is just better in a simplified game state. Or if they force interaction and you want a 1-for-1 with them, you could just summon Avion instead and keep the other Impin just on the field. Then Ryza. I also think I talked about putting this card to 2. It just doesn't need to be at this point. You loop the Ryza, and right now, usually if you're like Ryzing your opponent, you're putting them in a spot where like they're just not going to be able to play anyway. And then 3 Shifter. I either saw one of this card and it was nuts, or I saw multiple copies and it just sucked ass, like even at 1. So it's kind of iffy. There were a couple games where like I drew 3 of this and like double map or double field spell, and I just held it because if I didn't top deck like a bird or something, I was losing that match anyway, and I'd rather not give information to my opponent that I don't need to. It's still staple because this card's just kind of cracked. It's really good against like the Punk Therion deck, or really anything that plays the Punk cards or the Therion cards. It's just really good against.
Because they have to go to grave.
Exactly. They can't Pepega Ruler underneath it because they don't want to just like banish all the resources. Yep. And then for the spells, we have the 3 Advent, which is standard, 3 Map, which is standard. One of the changes, so I have the 3 Prosperity, the 3 Duality. I cut the 2 Extravagance that I was playing. I didn't feel like I really needed the extra draw power. I felt like if I just like played my resource game better, I didn't really need it. And plus the interaction with that and like Extravagance, or not Extravagance, Prosperity came up a few times in testing, so I'd rather be able to dig for 6 cards instead of just like randomly drawing 2, because I feel like if you, like I said, just manage resources better or more effectively, the draw 2 isn't as important as seeing the 6 cards off the top of your deck. So
absolutely.
We play 3 evenly because this deck just can't break boards like through negation. Yeah, it just
long day.
Yeah, you just need it. Same with like the 3 Mystic Mine. Like these just bait negates, and your deck can generally play really well under Mystic Mine. You can go into the birds like this, so the Lyrelust cards, and then make Zeus underneath it, which is really good. I did that I think like 2 or 3 times.
This card is an equalizer.
Exactly. So it not only equalizes the playing field, it baits negates. It's also really good against Despia, which I feel like Despia is my pest matchup, and it's the one that I prepared the most for, but I just didn't play against any of them. I was dodging them all day. They were all around me, especially in like the top tables, but I just, never played against them. Then we have Terraforming, Set Rotation, which is the new edition, Called by and Featherstorm to wrap up. So the theory behind this is like, if you're playing against some decks, like they're going to be playing Mystic Mine right now, this answers their Mystic Mine and also establishes your own Mystic Mine. So if you're in like a bad spot, like a couple times I would have like this, a bird, and maybe just like no follow-up. So like normal summon Rabina, they Asher Valor it, I have no follow-up. So either if I have this, I just set up Mystic Mine, and then I just like let my opponent play. Or sometimes like I'll have Advent, a way to Mystic Mine, and like a bird. The bird gets stopped. You play Mystic Mine on your opponent's turn, you just Advent your bird away, so now they're locked under no monsters, and you already have your search follow-up for next turn. So that's pretty good. Featherstorm just to answer Mystic Mine in back row. If you lose the die roller, go second. Called by is pretty generic. And then for the traps, we have 1 town and 1 metaverse. Metaverse is really nice, and it came up a few times. On my opponent's turn, I would either put up Mystic Mine or put up the bird field spell, because if they prioritize outing map, I know that they need their like normal summon play to resolve to be able to play. so I can just put this on the field after they answer this one, like post game one, and it'll just like let me do the bird normal summon on their turn, either Ryza or Apex Avian them. So that's the main deck. Just a couple changes. I think it's maybe like a 4-card difference from the last one, but otherwise.
Use the rain if you hear it.
Yeah, this worked out really well. I think one of the most controversial changes I made to this, and I can't remember if I was playing it for the Lexington regional or not, but I'm not playing the Unexplored Winds. I actually hate that card, and really the only application that I see it like being good for right now is outing Psychic and Punisher, because it's not like an activated effect, it just lets you tribute over the card. And I only ran into Psychic and Punisher once, and I was tilting a little bit because like the guy was under Shifter, he used all 5 of his cards to make it, and like I guess he just banked on me not seeing any birds, because if I saw any bird, like I was out in Psychic and Punisher, because you can just make Zeus or like crash a bird, get under the life, then end up making Zeus afterwards. So I needed like bird and map to out it, and I just didn't see it. So shit like that happens. Yeah, he got rewarded for making what he called like a meta call against me, and I was like, oh, that's fine. I looked at the clock, we had like 12 minutes. I was like, I don't want to spend all this time trying to out one card. He was going to probably, I think, it gave him at least 2 turns of drawing, and that deck can just pop off, with like 1 draw. So I didn't feel like drawing that out, and then I went to game 3, went first, and I beat him in like 2 minutes.
Yeah,
so.
blew his buckle out.
Yeah, it was pretty easy.
What's your main deck count?
So my main deck is 40 cards. If you want to play Unexplored Winds, because you really like that card, you can go ahead and put 41. 41's not bad, but you need kind of like a tight 40 to like make this work, I feel. Every time I go a little bit over, for some reason it just never seems to work out. I know the math is fine, like up to 43 cards or so, but really I'm pretty set on 40.
It's just...
I'm just pretty set on 40. We have 1 Recital Starling, we have 2 of the Jade Bird, Emerald Bird, 2 Downerd. I never make this, but like in my mind it's gonna come up at some point and it's gonna be really cool when it pops off. And these 2 extra deck spaces aren't like, I'm not pressed for space or anything like that. They're just fun to have there. If it does ever come up in like a tournament or like a regional, I'm gonna fucking scream, because I want it to work so bad.
Gonna make Liebane swing for a lot of damage.
And double Zeus, and you just play like 2 of these because they're easy banishes off of Prosperity. So we play 1 of this. I played 2 of this, and then 2 Unicorn also, just so you can like banish one off the other. I've made these pretty frequently, and I made this quite a few times as well. I think now that I've taken this deck to like more tournaments, I've played it locally and I played it in regionals, I find myself utilizing the extra deck a lot more than I did beforehand, because these put in a lot of work. This lets you search for like any of your birds anyway, so if you are in a spot where you have to make this to be able to play, it's really not a bad situation. And then Underworld Goddess, because this outs things like the Ignister Link monster, which
those unaffected stuff.
Yeah, Ignister got 4th place at the German Nationals, I think, so you'll probably see it a little bit more frequently, and I think it's been topping regionals here in the States too, so this is just a good call to have. It's really not that hard to like get this on board. So that is the extra deck. Like I said, the 2 missing cards is 1 Phoenix, 1 Unicorn.
Just double of the red.
Exactly. And then for the side deck, we have 1 DD Crow because it's searchable. Basically, it plays for like the Despia matchup. I also slided it against ABC, and it was ABC Therion, I think like my round 5 or 6, I sided this in. Hit 1 of his pieces after he summoned it off of Gadget, and he ended up with like Gadget and I think like C in defense position, and like no known piece in hand, so I was able to just pick apart his board from there. Put 1 of the pieces back to the top of his deck, he had no play past that.
Oh my god, that's wild.
I was like, alright, that's nice.
You get stuck with that normal summon you already did.
Exactly. 3 Ash. Once again, this was primarily for Despia because like you just want to Ash the fusion. After that, they have to make like card advantage loss plays where like they're losing advantage to fusion, and it's like just kind of a minus for them unless they open up like, what would it be, like branded opening, already hard open the fusion and everything else, then you're just like, well, you deserve the win.
Yeah, well, they got all balance.
1 Cosmic and 3 MST. So this
beautiful. This
changed from the last list because I think I was playing like 1 Twin Twister, and I don't think I was playing the MSTs. The reason why I cut the Twins, it may have been Lightning Storms. The reason why I cut the Twins is because like this deck really can't afford to discard a card. You really need like all 5 or 6 cards to be able to play. And MST answers the Zombie World and the standby phase in the mirror match. You can hit the counter or the trap card, so like they can't play on your turn, and hits map in the mirror match as well. It's just a really good like 1-for-1 trade. I also traded this with a hanger, a Union hanger. like the guy goes effect, and I was like, yeah, MST. He like plays another one, and he goes effect, and I was like, no, that's not how this works. So he just like wasted that field spell, didn't have a normal summon follow up, and I ended up beating him because of it.
Yeah, hitting the field spell.
Exactly, and then we have 3 evenly. I wasn't originally going to play this. I was going to play Token Collector for the Sword Soul match, but I figured this hit Sword Soul more and didn't like hit me with the special summoning restriction for the birds. Because like they can keep the long wand synchro, that's fine. I can bait it with Mystic Mine, or if I just like activate the field spell and they just shotgun it, like I don't feel like I lose out there. If I have the secondary field spell, you know, I just punish them because of it. But it never really came up. I sided it in a few times, and I think it was good maybe once or twice, like when my opponent just like failed to put up a negate, but like left a token on board. And it's like, I don't know why you would do that. I feel like, you know, the adventure stuff's been around long enough to where like
you should know not to leave the token.
Yeah, you should know not to leave the token on board, but you know, that's just how it is. And then I sided this in so often, and I didn't see it in a single game.
Just Trap Trick?
Yes, so it's 1 copy of Trap Trick, 3 copies of the Harpies, what's a Featherstorm, and I mean, this is probably my most sided in card, like these 4 were, and I just never saw it. It was always just somewhere else in my deck, but thankfully it was never like a make or break thing where like, I was never in a situation where like I lost because I didn't see it. Really my only losses were to, it's like the terrible Striker matchup that we have. The only reason why I really lost my round 2 against Striker was because game 3, I had the full board with Impen, Statue, Map, and then I had a Metaverse set, I had Advent set, and then I had a Dreaming Town set. So my opponent draws, goes stand by main, I was like, yeah, that's fine. He desires, I was like, yeah, that's fine. Draws 2, he goes Lightning Storm for the back row, and I was like, sure. I chained all my cards, I added a field spell back to hand, I summoned a bird off of Dreaming Town, and I searched off of Advent to gain 500 life. And I was like, okay, like this isn't too bad. So I do the Eagle in play, and I stick Apex Avian on board. He goes Talons to take. And I was thinking I could probably let him have this, but if he needs to get rid of it to play his spells, like he'll just crash with my Impen and I'll lose the Impen. Or if I go to negate with the Impen, he'll just use the Bird's effect because it negates activation, so you can use it in the damage calculation. So Impen's like loss effect would just make me banish a card for no reason, because he would just negate it and it would be over from there. He's out of the Impen at that point. So I use Apex Avian to negate it. He goes, yeah, that's fine. He Regekis me. And I was like, all right, this is cool, really neat. Like, he's answered my whole board at this point.
Super sick.
He sets a card, goes multi-roll, and then multi-rolls the set card, it's a Twin Twister, and then just like windmill slams the engage. And I was like, yeah, you're just so much better than me. You desires and didn't banish the multi-roll or engage, or open both multi-roll engage, which you did game 2. And I was like, this is just so stupid. I was like, I can't believe the luck of some people. And the dude was super cocky the whole time. Like game 2, he played engage like right off the top and goes, game 2 or game 3, and I was like, no, what are you talking about? He goes, oh, well, like, I just wanted to save you time. And I was like, save me time for what? Like, you played 1 card. Yeah. Like play the fucking turn.
Let's go.
He was just like real cocky, kind of a dick the entire time, but otherwise, you know, this deck
some Sky Striker players are.
Exactly. The deck performs super well. I didn't have any issues with it. I think the side deck's pretty perfect and the main deck's pretty perfect. But yeah,
so out of all that, is there any changes you would make to the main side or extra anything like that?
No, not right now. I think for the format right now, this is pretty good. I don't see the need to make any changes. Like I said, I think the only thing that people might have a problem with is like the no one export wins, and you can put that in if you want to make it 41. I just really hate drawing that card in like no birds, because then it's just a dead card. Which, I mean, you could say that like about a lot of cards, but it has like the least interaction like out of all the other cards that can potentially be dead. You know, minus like another shifter after you've already activated it, but
feel that
that's a mandatory 3 of it. It's not, you know, just like a 1 searchable card.
It's not negotiable.
So otherwise, it was fine. I think the only decks that I didn't really play against were Despia decks. I played against like ABC Therion, Punk Therion, which is what I expected. 2 Strikers, like Dino round 1, and a Monarch round 4. No, it was round 3. And the dude lived up to like the Brick Narcs, you know, name or whatever. He like T-set passed both games, and I was like, dude, I'm so sorry. He was like 2-1 at that point before the lunch break, and I mean, it must have been doing okay for him. But
up until you draw those bricks.
Yeah, I was like, what a weird series of matches. The Dino guy and the Monarch guy were like the 2 weird ones out, but everything else was meta. You know, the other 7 rounds were meta, and yeah, I had a great time. It was fun. Shout outs to the guys that I played against. You know, most of them I think did really well. A lot of them took me to game 3, so they were trying super hard.
Very good games.
They just couldn't clutch it out over the birds. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna call you Birdman Joe.
Yeah, sounds great. I'm cool with that.
All right, thank you for the profile.
Yeah, of course, no problem.